talking baseball. The Giants by the bay.
Seam heads, our Giants game day coverage begins now.
And good morning, everybody, and welcome to Talkin' Baseball.
So before gloves start popping,
diving stands up, throws to first, and he got him at first.
and bats start cracking,
Well hit, way back there. Adios! Emota!
we bring you the voice of Bay Area baseball for over 30 years.
That's what we do. We talk ball.
This is Talkin' Baseball with Marty Lurie
Great to have everyone back with us.
on the Sports Leader.
And good morning, everybody, and welcome to Talkin' Baseball on this Sunday morning as we get ready for Game 3 between the Giants and the Los Angeles Angels. And the Angels have been very welcome guests to Oracle Park the first 2 days. The Giants broke that 5-game losing streak on Friday night as the Angels cooperated with some questionable moves, and then Rafael Devers got the big hit once again. Giants broke that losing streak and won at 7-6, and then yesterday went out behind Robbie Ray, and once again Robbie Ray has a tremendous game for the Giants as he goes 6 innings, 6 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, raises his record to 9-6, and was this the last start for Robbie Ray as a Giant, or does he even get one more? My feeling is trade him now. His value could not be higher. He's pitched great in the last 5 or 6 starts. Pitched great yesterday against the Angels as the Giants won the game 9-2. Big hits yesterday. Giants put 9 on the board by the 4th inning as they beat up on another pitcher. It was Grayson Rodriguez Friday night, who is still coming back from arm injury. Johnston is another short arm pitcher, looks more like a reliever, and the Giants took care of him pretty good with about 8 runs. But it was Rafael Devers again, and I've said this a million times. He is a legitimate power hitter. Start liking him, get used to him, because he's not going anywhere. And the Giants need him with Eldridge. It's a nice combination. And he hit home run number 22 for him. Went 3 for 4 with 4 RBIs, 60 RBIs now in the season. Jung-Ho Lee broke out of his little mini slump there, 2 for 3 for him. A 3-run homer into the arcade, 3 RBIs for him. So a nice game for Lee and a nice game for Devers. And the Giants got 8 2-out RBIs. 8 2-out RBIs. But the guy in the middle of everything, and that is Luis Ariz. And I'll say it again, and I hope they don't trade him. I would sign him. The 2 phenoms are in San Jose now in low A, and Johnny Level is around somewhere in Eugene. And these players will eventually get here, but Luis Ariz is in the middle of everything. And if you watch the game yesterday, he got a single to start off the rally in the 3rd, then drove in a run in the 4th, and that preceded the 3-run homer by Lee, which put the game on ice. So I wouldn't trade him. I really wouldn't. I think Luis Ariz is that good, and he's going to hit like this until he's 50 years old. And if they bring the kids up, there's still going to be a spot for him. So we'll see what the Giants do. And good morning. Welcome to Talkin' on this Sunday morning as we get ready for Game 3 between the Giants and the Los Angeles Angels. And the Angels have been very welcome guests to Oracle Park the first 2 days. The Giants broke that 5-game losing streak on Friday night as the Angels cooperated with some questionable moves, and then Rafael Devers got the big hit once again. Giants broke that losing streak and won at 7-6, and then yesterday went out behind Robbie Ray, and once again Robbie Ray has a tremendous game for the Giants as he goes 6 innings, 6 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, raises his record to 9-6, and was this the last start for Robbie Ray as a Giant, or does he even get one more? My feeling is trade him now. His value could not be higher. He's pitched great in the last 5 or 6 starts. Pitched great yesterday against the Angels as the Giants won the game 9-2. Big hits yesterday. Giants put 9 on the board by the 4th inning as they beat up on another pitcher. It was Grayson Rodriguez Friday night, who is still coming back from arm injury. Johnston is another short arm pitcher. Looks more like a reliever, and the Giants took care of him pretty good with about 8 runs. But it was Rafael Devers again, and I've said this a million times. He is a legitimate power hitter. Start liking him, get used to him, because he's not going anywhere. And the Giants need him with Eldridge. It's a nice combination. And he hit home run number 22 for him. Went 3 for 4 with 4 RBIs, 60 RBIs now in the season. Jung-Ho Lee broke out of his little mini slump there, 2 for 3 for him. A 3-run homer into the arcade, 3 RBIs for him. So a nice game for Lee and a nice game for Devers. And the Giants got 8 2-out RBIs. 8 2-out RBIs. But the guy in the middle of everything, and that is Luis Arise. And I'll say it again, and I hope they don't trade him. I would sign him. The 2 phenoms are in San Jose now in low A, and Johnny Level is around somewhere in Eugene. And these players will eventually get here, but Luis Arise is in the middle of everything. And if you watch the game yesterday, he got a single to start off the rally in the 3rd, then drove in a run in the 4th, and that preceded the 3-run homer by Lee, which put the game on ice. So I wouldn't trade him. I really wouldn't. I think Luis Arise is that good, and he's going to hit like this until he's 50 years old. And if they bring the kids up, there's still going to be a spot for him. So we'll see what the Giants do by August 3rd on this trade deadline. Bader looks like he's out for the season, so he's not going to be going anywhere. And this Grant McCray, he's got a lot of tools, and I know Gilbert plays a lot and probably will be in there today against the right-hander Jose Soriano. But, boy, I'd like to see McCray play a little bit more. He may have some trade value. Ramos is another one with trade value. With all the outfielders, the corner outfielders the Giants have with Barracoto and Jonah Cox, and then, of course, the Dakota Jordans of the world, and players in the minor leagues that are Bo Davidson that we're talking about all the time. I think Ramos can get you something, and I would not hesitate to move him, and, of course, Robbie Ray as well. So the Giants should be active in the next week, but we'll see. The Giants are now 43-60. They won 2 in a row. All right, let's see if they can win 3 today. Then July, they're 9-10. They're 7-4 against the American League West. Since the break, and, of course, they lost 5 of 6 on the road trip. Well, the Kansas City series, that was a bad one, and Adames had mistakes in the field, and the bullpen fell apart. Not good. But they've come back to win 2, so since the break, they're now 3-5. Interleague 11-18. For Luis Arise, 326 now, and he's just behind Otto Lopez for number 1 in the National League. Giants are playing well at home. They're only 1 under 500 at home. In the last 16 home games, they've won 11 of 16. Around baseball, there was a trade yesterday. Connolly Early of the Red Sox, a nice left-handed pitcher. He's rehabbing right now, but he was traded to, guess it, Washington. How about that? Washington is in this thing, and Curtis Mead, who hurt the Giants when we saw him, goes to Boston. He'll play 3rd, and Durbin will probably move over to 2nd. But Washington is acting like they want to get into this wild card, and we'll cover some of the wild card stories, which are pretty interesting in the National League. Miami has lost 11 straight. Paul Skeens, of course, everyone's excited about Jackson Flora and the young pitchers that the Giants have drafted. Here's Paul Skeens, 9-9 now, 5 1/3 yesterday, 6 hits, 5 runs against the Cubs. It's not easy for a young pitcher to win in the major leagues, and we're going to see one today for the San Francisco Giants. Milwaukee comes in next. Mizorowski pitches today, so the Giants do not get the Miz, who's probably the best pitcher in baseball right now. Milwaukee is 6-2 on their homestand. They play Colorado today, and then of course come in tomorrow for 3 with the Giants. The Dodgers are 6-2 on the road as they beat the Mets again. It's always fun when the Dodgers go back to New York. Ohtani skipped the bullpen, and we'll have to see what's going to happen there. All right, today's game. It is, of course, don't forget it's our contest, Original Joe's Dinner for Two. Just guess the score of the game and tweet it in at Baseball Marty. And, of course, North Beach, Westlake, Walnut Creek. And Raf picks a random contestant for Dinner for Two at Soto Mare, 552 Green Street, with the Azolinos run the restaurant. It's a great place to have a meal. And Raf picks one to go to Soto Mare as well. So our contests are happening today. All right, Giants try to sweep the Angels, but they're going to have to face an actual Major League pitcher today, Jose Soriano. He's 27 years old, got off to a great start. Mark Simon will talk about this when he joins us next. He's 8-6 on the year. He's a righty, 343 earned run average. The whip is 1.25. In July, 3 games, 18 innings, 11 hits, 7 runs, no homers, 5 walks, 11 strikeouts. The walks for him can be a problem. 54 walks, 122 strikeouts. Now, in the old days, you'd say, all right, 2-1, that's fine. Not today. That's a lot of walks given up by Soriano in 118 innings. Not many homers, not many hits, 94 hits, and only 12 homers, 7 solos. Lefties 239 with 10 of the homers. So Devers get ready today. Probably Kavanaugh being there today. And, of course, Eldridge, who's been slumping a little bit. But Jung-Hoo Lee and the lefties can be getting ready to swing those bats today. 10 homers for lefties of the 12 against Soriano. Righties 194. Runners in scoring position 226 with 2 out, 191. He's pretty good, 205 the first time through, 235, and then 198. He's a tough pitcher. Arise is 3 for 6, and Devers 0 for 2. That's it. Those are the only ones who've seen action here. Well, today it is another pitcher, a young man. The Giants have got to see him, and he's in the rotations. This is not a one-shot deal. Carson Whisenhunt is back. He's 25 years old. He's a lefty. 2-0 on the year with a 338 earned run average, 10 2/3 innings, 4 runs given up, 1 homer, but 6 walks, 6 strikeouts. And it's the changeup, it's the fastball. He's got to have the whole arsenal to be successful. It's only his 8th Major League start. Lefties are 1 for 11 against him, and righties 8 for 29. First pitch, 3 for 8, so he's got to get that first pitch in a good spot. But runners in scoring position, 217 with 2 out, only 1 for 4. First time through, 188, then 200, then 333. So I'm sure they'll be watching him very carefully. So that's the matchup today, Soriano and Carson Whisenhunt. Don't forget, Woe and I will be up at the Priest Ranch Wine Tasting Room in Yountville, and that is going to be August 12th. That's about 6 o'clock. It's after the Giants play Houston that day. Now, Woe is not with us today. He's back in Cooperstown for the Jeff Kent induction, which we're going to talk about the Hall of Fame with Bruce Jenkins and others today. But Woe and I will do our show up there August 12th at 6. And if you go to priestranchwines.com, you can get tickets. And, it's not the biggest venue, and we have a lot of fun up there. And Woe's going to have a lot of stories about Cooperstown. So you want to get your tickets now. That's August 12th. Up in Yountville, the Priest Ranch Wine Tasting Room. All right, more coming up. Mark Simon of Sports Info Solutions joins us. Talk a little bit more about this matchup and the Hall of Fame. We've got some interesting stories today, and of course we honor the great Jeff Kent today for his induction into the Hall of Fame. So we'll do that and more right after this. Hey fans, Ron Wotus and I will be up at the Priest Ranch Wine Tasting Room in Yountville on August 12th at 6 p.m. for our annual visit. It's an unforgettable evening of baseball-themed cuisine and exceptional wines. Wo and I share great baseball stories, captivating moments about baseball. It's really a lot of fun. So don't miss this unique blend of gourmet snack, fine wine, and baseball lore in the heart of wine country. Visit priestranchwines.com for more information. This is a really good night and a lot of fun. I hope to see you there.
Mark Simon, the information wizard from Sports Info Solutions. Mark, I love you, man.
All right, you know what that song means. That brings Mark Simon to us of Sports Info Solutions. Of course, we consider Mark one of the best baseball analysts in the country, and we're pleased to have him with us every Sunday. Mark, how are you?
I'm good. Looking forward to talking to you today about a whole bunch of things.
Boy, there's a lot of things going on in the baseball world. One, of course, we have the song, the Edwin Diaz song. He's on his way back for the Dodgers. That could be a big deal to see if he can be the guy to lead them to the World Series again. What do you think?
Yeah, he wasn't early in the season. He was clearly injured. The velo and such weren't there, but seems to be healed, seems to be on his way. Could be pitching on Sunday for all we know. I think that he is an elite closer. I think he's a better closer than Tanner Scott. I don't think that they need Mason Miller if he's okay. So maybe he's got 3 or 4 days to show them that he's pretty good.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. We'll see how this turns out. The trade deadline, of course, coming up August the 3rd. The Giants right in the middle of it. Winning streak, I guess they've got 2 in a row. They win Friday night 7-6, and they win on Saturday 9-2 against the Angels. A couple of 3-run homers for Devers, who's, Mark, I'll tell you something. I've said this for the last month. He is the power hitter of this ball club. There's no one like him. Hit another home run today, his 22nd on Saturday. 314 is a number that I was thinking about all week, and that it takes me to Salvador Perez. I'm going to come back to him.
Sure.
But 3 for 4 for Devers, 4 RBIs. He's got 60 now. And Jung-Ho Lee, a 3-run homer, too. Seeing a little bright spot for the Giants here these last couple of days?
Yeah, the biggest takeaway from the last 2 days is realizing that if you start the clock on May 1st, Rafael Devers has, I think they said it was the most extra base hits of anyone in the sport. You look at OPS, his OPS is basically a match since the 1st of May, April 30th, right around there, for what he was in Boston. So you're getting essentially what you were expecting to get out of him thus far. Now, he didn't do it in April, and that hurt. That hurt a lot. But at least it's an encouraging sign for the future because you're certainly committed to this guy for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jung-Ho Lee, a 3-run homer, 2. Giants score 8 2-out RBIs today on Saturday, beating the Angels 9-2. All right, Sal Perez, and I did want to mention him. We watched him on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for Kansas City, and the number 314 was in my mind, but 317 was the big number of home runs he hit as a Kansas City Royal, which he did to tie George Brett. That was a record for 40 years for the franchise. Well, on Saturday, he did it, hit number 318. And this is Hall of Fame weekend. And I'll start you off with this question. Sal Perez, Hall of Famer?
This is a really good one. This is a hard one. I don't have a great answer for this one yet. I think he's close. I think it is important that he won a World Series and was a World Series MVP and had his share of notable posts and moments. Giants remember them for a different kind of notable than the rest of us do. But hitting 364 in a World Series is no joke. Hitting 333 against the Giants in a World Series is no joke. And the guy was a mainstay. The guy played he didn't play every game, but he played hitting 20 to 25 home runs. He had the one monster year with 48. He had 30 as a 35-year-old. He's a little bit interesting, too, because the defense, there are certain aspects of his defense that are very good. He has a great arm. killed a lot of base runners with his arm. Aiming became more noticeable. Like as we had measurements for that, it brought him down a little bit. And that's like if you viewed him with a 1980s, 1990s lens, you view him a little differently because you don't necessarily know that he was a bad pitch framer. I think he's very close. I think there are a lot of guys that are very close, and I'll talk about a couple of those too. If you were to say to me, voter, I'm voting for Sal Perez, I'm not going to raise a major stink over it. That's your take. I think he's really close.
Yeah, and I think also by the time his time comes up, the writers will have decided about Posey, Yadier Molina, and then comes Salvador Perez. I think he is, and I've enjoyed watching his career, and I enjoyed watching him this week, and he hit number 318 on Saturday, which makes him the leader. That was a record that stood for 40 years with George Brett for the Royals, so good for him. That was a baseball moment from Saturday. The Giants face a pitcher a little bit better than they faced the last couple of nights, and that is Jose Soriano, 27 years old. The last two the Giants saw were really almost batting practice, but they see Soriano Sunday as a home game for them. They're playing very well at home now. They were 11-5 in their last 16 at home. What do you think about Soriano?
So Soriano started the season basically completely unhittable for 6-7 starts. He was throwing a devastating sinker. He has a great split, too, that is very difficult to hit. Things cooled off for him since those 6-7 starts. The ERA is close to 5. He did have a great start last time out, though. Sinker was good. His other pitches were very good, too. The thing to watch with him is he can be a little wild. He leads the American League in walks, but he throws 98 and he throws a 96 sinker. And in the early part of the season, that pitch was completely unhittable. If he reverts to that form, the Giants are going to have a tough day on Sunday.
Yeah, lefty's 239 with 10 of the 12 homers. 12 homers in 118 innings. That's pretty good. But the 54 walks, 122 strikeouts, that's Robbie Ray territory. Didn't seem to bother him too much against the Angels. That may be his last start as a Giant. But runners in scoring position, 2 out, 191. Runners in scoring position in general, 226. Arise 3 for 6 against them. And I'll say this again. I say it every day that I watch him. Why do you want to trade Luis Arise? He's in the middle of everything. Everything that good that happens for the Giants, he's in the middle of it. And he did it again on Saturday.
Well, they might get a chance in the offseason to sign him to a big deal or a bigger deal. Maybe, something that was multiple years. I guess the feeling is you got to get something from, there's still uncertainty there. Maybe in the next 2-3 days, they say, all right, we'll give you 3 for whatever. And he sticks around. I have a feeling that's not going to happen, though.
I know. He's worth it for me. Carson Wisenhunt gets the start for the Giants, the lefty. He's made 2 starts against Atlanta and Colorado. He's done well. Again, it's the walks, 6 strikeouts in 10 2/3 innings. But Tony Vitello says he's going to get the chance. This is not a one-shot wonder. He is going to be in the rotation.
Yeah, the 2 starts, the thing that was most notable about him was in the first one, batters went 2 for 11 against the changeup. In the second one, batters went 1 for 8. Now, the one was a home run, but the others were outs. And I think if he has the changeup, he doesn't throw overpowering. He's only throwing 93 with his 4-seam. He needs the changeup and the slider to be really useful pitches for him. And in the 2 starts, they were. So we will see and look for more of that in this game. That's the thing that you're looking for.
Yeah, lefties 1 for 11 against him. How about that? Righties 8 for 29, and first pitch.
Well, they started 8 lefties. They started 8 righties against Robbie Ray, so you'd figure they'd probably start 8 against Wisenhunt.
Yeah, so we'll see. By the way, Mike Trout, I got to watch him the last couple of days. When he hits the ball, he stings it. But I must tell you, I just think his career has really hit the skids. He's just not the same ball player at all.
No, he played very hard for that 8-year period or so where he completely dominated the sport, and that I think wore him out a little bit. And he's still a valuable player. 840 OPSs don't grow on trees. He's not the defender that he once was. He's not the same. And I don't know what it is other than maybe a warning sign that you got to be careful out there. And even when you're at the very top of your game, stuff can happen that can take you out of that.
Well, it's a very special day in baseball. I love it. It's Hall of Fame Sunday. We'll talk about it on the show today. And Jeff Kent, number one, going in today. Let's talk about the inductees and get some of your thoughts about. We'll start with Jeff Kent.
Yeah, so this is interesting. I looked this up on Saturday, and it caught me completely by surprise because I think John Miller was talking about it on one of the broadcasts this week. He said that they were talking about the effort that Jeff Kent put into his defense while he was with the Giants. And there are advanced metrics before the ones that exist now that can measure defensive performance in like the 1980s and the 1990s. They can estimate it. And if you look at Jeff Kent's career, the defense was really bad at the very beginning, and it was really bad at the very end. But the time in between, including all of the time with the Giants, it was decent. Like, he was a decent defender. So the knocks for him on that may have been a little overblown. And then, of course, there's the stuff that you're going to want to talk about, which is the great power hitter for second baseman. A lot of big hits for the Astros, a dangerous presence in the lineup for an extended period of time, a guy who played a lot, and a guy that was a valuable player on multiple different teams. Just a very solid player who I realize now may have been overly punished for certain things that maybe he shouldn't have necessarily been fully punished for.
Well, we're really glad that Mark could be with us this morning. He's got a lot more to say. And we'll put that on loveofthegameproductions.com and also the KNBR podcast page, as we'll talk about Andrew Jones and Carlos Beltran as well. But Jeff Kent is getting inducted today and probably shortly. And Bruce Jenkins and I will talk about that. He really had an incredible career. And I'm really glad for him. And we've also got some sound from Jeff Kent as well. From the archives that Raf looked up. The kids are going to camp today, and Lolly and Stella are off to Camp Tawonga, so I know they're listening to the show on the way to the bus. And it's always an exciting time when the kids go off to camp, isn't it? All right. More coming up. Bruce Jenkins next, right here on the Sports Leader.
KNBR, the Sports Leader. Look through the window of the original Joe's on North Beach and you'll see two guys at the counter talking ball. Time for you to listen in to their conversation. Marty, Lurie, and the SF Chronicles' Bruce Jenkins are looking through the window of baseball. Sponsored by Original Joe's of North Beach and Westlake on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
All right, great to have you back with us as we get ready for Game 3 between the Giants and the Angels today. Bruce Jenkins, good morning. How are you?
Good, Marty. How's it going?
Good. Interesting weekend of baseball. First of all, the Giants win 2 over an Angel team that has just really fallen apart. But preceding that, my goodness, losing 5 of 6 on the road, and the trade deadline is coming up. So I know I want to talk Hall of Fame with you, but let's talk Giants first.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have no idea what you're going to get. You know, the Brewers are coming in. The Giants could sweep them. They could. In fact, I'm going to say they will sweep them. I don't know why I would say that. But why would you say anything to trying to forecast what the Giants are going to do? You know, it's going to come down to the trading deadline, whether Buster really wants to shake it up, and we'll just have to see. But it's pretty apparent that they're not going to reel off, 12 out of 15 or 12 in a row like the 15 in a row like the Red Sox did. They just don't have the pitching to do it. So that's where we're at. But they're doing a lot of hitting, and you see cool things like a great throw by McRae, and Eldridge is always a fun at bat. And I've always thought all season that they're very watchable because there's so much potential for things to happen. But unfortunately, they haven't played very smart baseball, and they don't pitch, so that's tough.
Yeah, I agree with you, and we've said this since the beginning of spring training. They can hit, and they've got some hitters. Of course, Devers got off to this terrible start, but Bruce, he is a legitimate power hitter in this park, and he can take the ball, as we saw Friday night, to left field and put it over the fence. And everyone should get used to him and start liking him because he's not going anywhere. They need him big time. And he fits well with Eldridge, truthfully.
They can make that work for sure. And he's going to have numbers at the end of the year. His homer numbers are going to be good, his RBIs, and his average will be up respectably. He was so bad. I was so down on him just whiffing on very hittable pitches. I just refused to acknowledge that he was coming around. But now it's apparent that he is, and it's a great thing for the team. It's huge. I mean, it's such a big thing for Buster. I mean, they signed him to 1 million years, and it was a big gamble that they took, and he is finally coming around. He's a good guy. He can be sensitive at times and a little maddening at times, but he's a good guy and a good player, and he's going to wind up with numbers, and it's really going to come down to however they take the field next year, and they'll be different. He's got to come out of the gate, not like he did this year. He's got to come out of the gate as himself.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Whisenhunt gets a start today, and Tony Vitello says he's in the rotation. We're going to see what the kid can do. So that'll be interesting, at least today.
Yeah, he had a good outing against Colorado a couple of weeks ago. I think he went 5 2/3, couple runs. The Giants won the game. They know he's got good stuff, and if he shows up, he's in the rotation. We'll see how long he's in the rotation, but probably for quite a while if his arm stays healthy. But he's an interesting guy, and he's one of these guys that they're really going to need, especially if they trade Robbie Ray, and I don't think they'll trade Logan Webb. But Logan Webb at some point he's not going to be a young buck, and they need young pitchers to build the future around, and Whisenhunt's definitely one of them.
Yeah, for me, Robbie Ray has got to go.
Yeah.
And I think he's really upped his trade value. I really think he's
pitched
well his last 6 starts. And I would have Ramos packaged with him to one of these non-bubble teams, or one of these teams that are looking for action. Look, Washington made a trade yesterday, so things are going to start to happen. But I put Ramos and Ray together. And I think you can get something there because they have a ton of outfielders coming, and they have some on the DL right now.
Yeah, I mean they've got Dakota Jordan and Bo Davidson in the minor leagues. They're moving up fast. They look like really exciting ball players. They haven't given up on McRae as a hitter, and they do have a lot of help in the outfield. They may not see Bader again like ever, but I don't think anybody's too crushed about that. But they do have a lot of young talent. I agree with you on Ramos. He's a good hitter, but he lets you down in the field too often. He's not going to develop into a Joe Rudy out there. He just isn't. I think he's very much trade material considering what they have. They lose a little bit of power, but man, they've got tons of power, Marty. I mean Schmidt and Eldridge and Devers, Adames. They've got power all over the place. So I think they can afford to lose Ramos, and maybe separate deals, one involving him and one involving Ray.
Yeah, I would like to see that. So we'll see what happens this week. But, it's next Monday, August 3rd.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they do something this week. All right, Hall of Fame. You and I have been talking about the Hall of Fame on Hall of Fame Sunday. God, Bruce, it goes back to the late 90s. I know we used to do it every Sunday when this happened. But Jeff Kent is going in today, and it's a wonderful story. And let's start off with Jeff Kent.
It really is a wonderful story. He was raised by a very hard A, so to speak, father who was very demanding. He didn't want his son celebrating anything or talking himself up. If he went 4 for 5, the dad wanted to know what happened. It was really how it was. And Jeff laid that out when he first joined the Giants, and that's how he played. He played tough and unforgiving, and he'd been around for 5 years when the Giants got him without doing much, and people going, what the hell? What Jeff Kent? What's that about? And Sabian completely nailed it. But what I like about his career is that he just kept getting better. I mean, next thing you know, he's hitting the 334 and 313. He finishes at 290. That's a hell of a lifetime average these days. And even when he joined the Dodgers, heaven forbid, he's 39 years old, hitting 302 over a full season. Mm-hmm. Had some great postseason moments. So I'm happy for him too, because he was such a hard ass. I'll get that word out there. But when you talk to him now, and he's able to reflect on things and come out of his private life and into the shine of the Hall of Fame, it really gets to him, and he's easily moved to tears. And I think it's very touching. I never thought I'd say that about him, but it's quite a career in total.
And he deserves it. And looking back, Bruce, he was a 20th round pick of the Toronto Blue Jays. He was kicked off his high school. He was kicked off his high school team because he didn't want to switch positions, and he played at Cal. And but Toronto had him, and then they traded him to the Mets, and then the Mets traded him to Cleveland, and he didn't get to the Giants. And everyone said Brian Sabian was a lunatic for doing this till he was 29.
Yeah,
think
amazing.
of Devers' age, Adames' age, but 29. It's like Warren Spahn, my God.
Yeah.
He started a Hall of Fame career at 29, which led him to the most homers for a second baseman and a 500 slugging average, a 356 on base. And he was just a tough guy. And he was a hard-nosed ball player. But look where he came from. That really grabbed me.
Well, yeah. I mean, those 5 years. I mean, there was nothing really to look at with the 3 teams. He's always been with 3 teams, and Cleveland doesn't want him. And it's really crazy how that all developed. But he proved his worth. Kuiper always talked about how he hung in at second base, and in those days, Kuiper would know as well as anybody to consistently hang in on the double play when a guy's coming in hard at you. That's a hard thing to do every year. And he played most of the season every single year. You couldn't knock him out of there. And meanwhile, he's hitting home runs. His RBI numbers are terrific. It's really good. It's like 6 out of 7 years with 107 RBIs, and you just study the whole picture. And when it became apparent that he was the all-time leader for second baseman, I think people realized, well, that's Hall of Fame stuff right there. Then they really look at him, and that's how he got in. And God, it's a great thing.
Yep, 1,518 RBIs, 560 doubles, our favorite statistic. How about that?
Absolutely.
1,320 runs scored, 5-time All-Star, as you said, 8 times over 100 RBIs. But started putting it he had 2,461 hits, and started putting it together at age 29. That's what gets me. Well, we went into the archives after talking about Jeff Kent this way, and Raph found it was a post-game discussion with him, and I think it was in the late 90s, but it gives you the heart of Jeff Kent talking about the ball club and how they have to approach the stretch drive. So, Raph, why don't you go ahead? It's only a few minutes, so go ahead and play that.
We haven't even been to the deep part of August yet, and we still have September to go. So we're the team to beat. We're 3 games up. If we start to panic, if we push the old phrase, push the panic button, then we're going to be in trouble. I hope guys, and I hope our front office and management, and even the fans don't stress out on us, because there's still too much baseball to play. We've been able to play and be successful this year because we haven't put pressure on ourselves. Now, if we change that spectrum and put pressure on ourselves to have to play well, then I kind of have a funny feeling we might not be able to produce the quality of baseball that we have been producing. So we just need to stay focused. The old song, you beat writers that were here, Daryl Hamilton was playing the radio a long time ago. What was that tune, Gonzo? Don't worry, be happy, kind of a tune. That's just the way we need to play right now still.
Break it out again?
Yes. Now that I just mentioned that, I hadn't thought about that, but I just did, and I'm going to tell Hamilton to play that sucker tomorrow at 11 o'clock.
Holland stole it.
Schmitty he was busting everybody in. He was throwing that dart fastball of his. It wasn't sinking, it wasn't moving much, but he was just busting everybody in. Broke my bat, and then that lefty came up, and I was so inside conscious, I screwed up. I was trying to move the damn runner over, and I just couldn't wait long enough. Man, I'm pissed. And he was just doing that to us all. He was just busting us in. Wasn't afraid to throw inside.
The Pirates actually played a nice game. They moved people around.
They're a solid team. There's no doubt about it. Those guys over there, the kids, are good dudes, and they're just playing good baseball. I hear from them that they like Lamont, and they're just playing solid. They're the pesky Pirates, somebody wrote in the newspaper, and they're playing good baseball. And we can't, as first place team wanting to win our division, we can't allow them to beat us like that. But they tip your hat to them. They played good at baseball today. Yeah.
How do you like that? Is that him perfectly or what?
Yeah, that's just a serious, truth-telling, no BS ball player, isn't it? I mean, that's so Jeff Kent, and it's interesting that it was post-game, because there were many times when, we all go in after the game after a tough loss, and there's nobody in there. They're all taking their sweet time before coming out. There's literally nobody in there. And all of a sudden, Jeff Kent comes in and sits down and puts the whole thing in perspective, sounding an awful lot like he just did on your tape there. And he'd go on at length. People thought he wasn't, he didn't have much to offer, but he had tons to offer when he started talking baseball. And the post game, if you waited him out, was really worthwhile.
Yep. I think that was perfect. He's a leader. He coexisted with Bonds. He said what he had to say, and he saw the whole picture, and that is the essence of a leader. And I think it's terrific. I'm thrilled for him. All right. Well, that's good. All right, let's talk a little bit about Carlos Beltran. Bruce, he's going in today. 435 homers. He's got 312 stolen bases. He was only caught 49 times, 2,725 hits. Tremendous playoff player and a switch-hitting center fielder. He got involved in that little scandal with Houston and the sign stealing. But Carlos Beltran, powerful, great player. Giants ended up with him. Unfortunately, you could tell that story. It didn't work out. But his overall picture, he's one of the best ever.
Well, he definitely is. He tells a story about George Brett when he was with Kansas City. George Brett said, sort of offhand, this kid can be a Hall of Famer. And Beltran's going, what? I haven't done anything. He goes, I think you've got what it takes. And he really did. He had everything going. You talk about the stolen bases, Marty. One year he went 31 for 32. Another year, 41 for 45, and the year after that, 42 for 45. I mean, that's crazy success on the bases. And you're right, the Astros thing really hurt him. He was the only Astros player mentioned by name in the MLB report, so he's got that stigma hanging over his head. He's hired by the Mets in November. After that was all over. Then they fired him in January when the stuff started to come out. He didn't even he was out of there before he got managed a game. So he was up against so many things, but again, you talk about Jeff Kent being a little older when he joined the Giants. Beltran was 34 when the Giants had him. You look it up, he hit 323. I don't remember any of it. I don't remember any of his with the Giants.
No.
The thing about it is that he was traded for Zach Wheeler, but Wheeler, of course, right now is one of the great pitchers. He has been for years, but he never pitched for the Giants. I mean, he'd been 5 seasons with the Mets before that. I mean, he was completely average, so the Giants really had no idea what kind of a major league pitcher he was, and Beltran obviously did. I don't remember it, but if he hit 323, he must have done some good things in the 44 games he played. But just it's all come around for him because through all this stuff, he struck out looking against Adam Wainwright to end the 2006 NLCS. Wainwright dropped a 12-6 curveball on him, and there goes the series. See you later. That's a frozen memory. But all this stuff he's overcome. And it's a great day for Puerto Rico. It's a great day for him. You look at his numbers overall, and you're kind of blown away. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, 2004 in the playoff, that was when he was with Houston, 20 for 46 with 8 homers.
Oh,
and
my
6
God, yeah.
stolen bases and none caught stealing. So, when Beltran came here, the Giants were in first place, and they needed him. He got hurt. He was awful, and he put up good numbers in September, but by then it was too late, and everyone hated him after that. So,
thank you. That's why I don't remember him,
his tenure with the Giants did not work out. Work out. All right. The third one is Andrew Jones. And again, all these Kent, Beltran, and Jones took a little while to get the numbers to get in the Hall of Fame, but one of the great center fielders of all time, Bruce, and 434 home runs for him, 40th all-time, 1,289 RBIs, but 400 homers, 10 gold gloves, only Ken Griffey Jr., Mike Schmidt, Willie Mays, and Andrew Jones. How about that?
Yeah, well, he's definitely got the goods, but I tell you, he showed up right away. I was in Yankee Stadium for the 1996 World Series. He's 19. He's starting for the Braves. He homers in his first 2 World Series at-bats. I think he's still the only teenager to hit a home run in the World Series, and he hit a big 3-run homer off Mariano Rivera one time, and he was great for the moment. It always bothered me that they called him another Willie Mays in center field because that's impossible. He wasn't that, but he was awfully good. He had back-to-back seasons in fielding stats where his fielding average was .995. That was not unusual for him. He had 20 assists one year before they realized they shouldn't run on him. And just like with Beltran, it's a great thing for Puerto Rico. This is a wonderful thing for the island of Curacao, which has produced Ozzie Albies and Bam Bam Mulens and Kenley Jansen, the kid Rafaela for the Red Sox, and mostly Andrew Jones going into the Hall. It's a wonderful little pocket of excellent baseball that they now have this shining moment for Andrew Jones. So once again, he was phenomenal. He really was, and that's, as you watched him, you knew you were watching somebody special. At the time, for a long time for Jeff Kent, I wasn't thinking at the time he's a Hall of Famer. Same with Beltran, really. But Jones, you saw him do so many things from the beginning that you just said this guy is probably going to be in the Hall of Fame someday.
Yeah, Fangraphs calls him the MVP of defensive outfielders. How about that? So that's with the graphics and the metrics and all that, but we know Willie Mays was the best ever. The other thing is, this Brave team, they win 13 in a row, division titles, I forget how many, 13, 14 in a row. But Hall of Famers, Bobby Cox, John Sherholtz, Fred McGriff, Chipper Jones, Andrew Jones, and then Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz. They got a lot of guys in there.
And what I loved about it is that they kept the team together. Here they come in spring training. and they're the same team. I mean, that's not automatic. I mean, last year Toronto, they came within a few outs of beating the supposedly unbeatable Dodgers. They were a phenomenal show, Toronto, all the way up and down. They can't win a game now. It's just not that easy. And the Braves, with those guys, just little things. I never forget the first time I saw Tom Glavine. He dominated the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. People had barely heard of him. And I watched him walk off the mound. He looked like he was completely in charge. He didn't trot off or sprint off. He had a great walk to him. You just little things like that you remember. So many things with the Braves, but from Bobby Cox on down, they had the hitting. You mentioned all those names. I mean, and because they very rarely finish the job. It's kind of forgotten, but there's so much to be said. And if you're a fan of the Braves, man, they always gave you a reason to care.
Yeah, well, these are three legit Hall of Famers, and I'm glad that we could talk about it. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. See if the Giants can sweep the Angels, number one, and I can't wait to see what Buster does this week because the ball is in his court. So, Bruce, we'll talk to you next Sunday. Appreciate it.
Oh, you bet. Should be good. Thanks, Marty.
All right, take care. All right, that is Bruce Jenkins. Glenn Kuiper, Kerry Crowley coming up next right here on the Sports Leader.
KNBR, the Sports Leader.
Hey fans, Ron Wotus and I will be up at the Priest Ranch Wine Tasting Room in Yountville on August 12th at 6 p.m. for our annual visit. It's an unforgettable evening of baseball-themed cuisine and exceptional wines. Will and I share great baseball stories, captivating moments about baseball. It's really a lot of fun. So don't miss this unique blend of gourmet snack, fine wine, and baseball lore in the heart of wine country. Visit priestranchwines.com for more information. This is a really good night and a lot of fun. I hope to see you there.
Welcome back to our KNBR Giants warm-up on the Sports Leader.
All right, great to have you back with us as we get ready for Game 3 between the Giants and the Angels. We welcome in Glenn Kuiper and Kerry Crowley as part of our Giants warm-up. Glenn, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Marty. How you guys doing?
Good. Kerry, you ready to go?
Oh, of course. Love this Sunday morning conversation. Excited to chat with you guys.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to talk about. Let's talk Giants first. And, of course, it's a special day in baseball with the Hall of Fame Day. Paul Hoynes gets the Excellence in Writing Award from Cleveland. And Joe Buck. And, Glenn, I want to get your thoughts about Joe Buck. He gets the Ford Frick Award for the Hall of Fame for Broadcaster. And then we have 3 Hall of Famers, Beltran, Andrew Jones, and, of course, Jeff Kent going in, too. So it's a big day for everybody in baseball. Even Bill White gets the Buck O'Neill Award back in Cooperstown. So it's a celebration of baseball. But, guys, let's talk Giants first of all. They win 2, not a great road trip, a lot of mistakes. And now Buster's got the ball in his court. And, Glenn, I'll start with you. The feeling about the game today, Wisenhunt gets the start, and then we got to see what happens with the Giants this week.
Well, I'm excited about the Wisenhunt thing. I think we all could kind of see this coming where, he was at some point going to get a shot here in the rotation. He's shown flashes of being a decent big league starter. We need to see a lot more of them, and here's the opportunity. So I think it's a good move. I think he's probably ready to pitch in the big leagues. He's pitched a fair amount of minor league innings. He's made some improvements on areas he needs to get better at in the minor leagues. So I think this is a big deal, for looking ahead. We need to find out if Wisenhunt is a part of the future. I mean, is he a rotation piece for 2027? And I think giving him 7, 8, 9, 10 starts here in the final 2 months will at least give the Giants a decent idea what they have here. So that's kind of what I like about what's happening today. Keep a close eye on Wisenhunt, and is he part of the future or not? Well, we're going to find out in the next 2 months.
Kerry, let's talk a little bit on the offensive side. Obviously, Wisenhunt is in the rotation, so we'll see what he does. But what about the week for Devers, Adames, Jung-Ho Lee, Luis Ariz? This is quite a week of Giants offensive baseball too. A lot of mistakes. So where's the ball here for Buster Posey? What does he do?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting calculation for Buster Posey here because, you look up, Marty, and it's Sunday, July 26th, and a lot of guys are hitting right around their career numbers or where you would expect them to. Devers with 22 home runs, 60 runs driven in. That's pretty much what you would think for a Rafael Devers season. Luis Ariz, a 326 average and 812 OPS. That's what the Giants anticipated when they signed him. And so I think that Devers is staying. He's a part of this thing long term. They're going to get a good player in return for Luis Ariz. He's someone who can help a contender. And I think, the more he hits at the top of the order, the more a contending team is going to benefit from the way that he sets the table. I really just love the style of play from Luis Ariz. And then, you mentioned some of the other players. Look, Adames this season, a 225 average, a 705 OPS. I think he's as frustrated as anyone. And you've seen him take that out into the field a couple of times this week. Some mistakes that, it's similar to what we saw from Elliot Ramos back in 2025, where every 7 to 10 days he was just making a confounding mental mistake. And we've seen too many of those this season from Adames. And then there's Jung Hoo, who's out of the lineup today, but he's got the average over 300. I read a report this morning that suggests that Jung Hoo is off the table. The Giants aren't trading him. I don't believe that. I think if they get overwhelmed, if they can get a young pitcher in return, they have to consider every opportunity to upgrade this team, even if I do think that Jung Hoo is a good fit for this ballpark at Oracle Mart.
Do you think Buster, I'll ask you this, Kerry, and then Glenn can pick it up. Does Buster make one of those trades where we all say, wow, we didn't see that coming? Or is it just the stock, all right, Robbie Ray, goodbye, and Arise, unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to you, and that's about it? Or does he throw Ramos out there? Does he throw Jung-Ho Lee out there? Does he throw some of the minor leaguers that he's got? He's got a ton of minor leaguers, and he wants new minor leaguers. Does he make one of those trades where Kerry is saying, boy, I wish John Shea was here right now to talk to me? So go ahead, Kerry. You could start with that.
I'll start us here. Well, look, I don't know that there's a clear path to a shocking trade for the San Francisco Giants right now. Maybe if they got a great young starting pitcher in return, they would part with one of their young controllable players. And those players right now are Elliot Ramos and Casey Schmidt. I just don't know that that's necessarily possible in the middle of the season, Marty. I think if Buster's going to make bigger changes to this roster, I'd expect them to happen once there's a new CBA. And I don't know when that's going to be, if it's December, January, or February. I don't know if there's going to be a compacted area between the beginning of next season and, if we'll even have 162 next year. But I think if you're going to see a big move from Buster Posey, something that really shakes up this roster in a dramatic way, I think you're more likely to see it in the off season, not in the middle of the season.
All right, Glenn, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, Kerry's probably right. It's, I think you got a better chance of a so-called blockbuster. But I do think that there is going to be a shakeup. I would not be surprised if Ramos goes. There's some young outfielders that are getting closer to the big leagues. I think that comes into play. So I wouldn't be surprised if Ramos got traded. I think we know Ray and Arise are probably going to go. And two, I think Kerry brought up a good point. What would not surprise me? I mean, listen, maybe you take one of your players, let's just say Ramos, just for conversation, and maybe you do throw a minor league prospect in, maybe a decent minor league prospect, and that gets you a young starter back. I think that's a possibility. You kind of sweeten your deal with a major league player and a minor league player. If you could get a young starter that, is controllable for 2 or 3 years. I think that's a possibility. There's so many different routes you can take. Will they be able to trade, an Adames or a Chapman? I think it would be hard, but I don't think it's out of the question. But you'd have to, it's going to get you somewhere there a little bit. You're probably going to have to pay down a contract and that type of thing. I don't know if the Giants would do that. I think they would probably think about it. A big deal would be tough to do, but it's never out of the question. But I could see somebody like Ramos getting traded. That would not surprise me, only because there is some young outfield depth in the minor leagues.
Yeah, I think Kerry, I'm going to disagree with you. I think something big is going to happen.
Okay.
I do. I just think Buster knows it, and I see him sitting up there. I just look at his face, and I just think he knows that he's watching a product that's got to be improved. And I'll say this wild card, you get the Cubs, the Phillies, Arizona right now. Those are your 3 wild card teams. And then St. Louis, Pittsburgh, Washington had made a trade yesterday with Boston, San Diego, and Miami. And any of those teams are 3 games out of the wild card. So there's a lot of teams on the bubble, and there are a lot of teams that are going to get in, including the Brewers, and certainly Atlanta looks like they've righted the ship. They need some help, though. And then, of course, you got the Dodgers always looking for help. And in the American League, you get Tampa Bay and the Yankees, Cleveland, the White Sox. There's action. Detroit. I think something big's going to happen for the Giants. I think they're gonna join the parade here and make something happen. So we'll see. But it certainly is going to be an interesting week because everybody is in this thing and sort of giving Buster advice. So we'll see what happens. But my feeling is something big will happen. And we'll go, wow, we didn't see that coming. All right, so that's where I am with that. Let's talk Hall of Fame a little bit. Jeff Kent. And, Glenn, you knew Jeff Kent. You knew him from obviously when you worked, and he was a second baseman. What do you think about Kent going in?
Yeah, I think it's great, obviously. I thought he was actually maybe a little underrated, when he was a player, especially with the Giants, and then when the Hall of Fame votes start coming in early on, I mean, he really didn't, he really wasn't that close to getting to 75%, but luckily he ended up getting in. I obviously a terrific player, but I just love the way he went about his business. No, he was not a friendly guy. He wasn't, Willie Adamas out there. That's just not the way he was. But man, talk about a gamer, and we all know what the definition of a gamer is, right? We're all in baseball, but he came hard every day, and he played the right way. Not a lot of mistakes, and man, could he hit? I can just picture him, with a couple of strikes and a runner at second base. He wasn't afraid to flip a ball to right field for the RBI. I just love the way he played, and I think he was underrated defensively as well. Not a lot of range, but strong around the bag, good arm, turned the double play, and caught the ball right at him. So an absolute, no doubt, Hall of Famer in my mind. And, we should all be proud that he's going in as a San Francisco Giant because his 6 years in San Francisco were awesome. If you look at his statistics, I mean, they were awesome. So good for him. Good for him. I'm glad for him.
Kerry, I mentioned to Bruce, Jeff Kent was 29 when he came to the Giants. 29. And he had kicked around with Toronto, the Mets, and Cleveland. He was a 20th round draft choice. And your thoughts on Jeff Kent? Would you have voted for him?
I probably wouldn't have voted for him, Marty, even though I'm a big Hall of Fame guy, and I like the idea of expanding the number of baseball players who are in it. I think the committee was the right way for Jeff Kent to go in. I think it's hard to judge his career, in the 10 years following when he first became eligible. And the more distance you actually have from Jeff's career, I think it puts it into perspective that he was a Hall of Famer. I wouldn't say, 2016, 2017, I thought of Jeff as a Hall of Famer, but I do think the farther away you get from it, you look at the numbers that he put up relative to the numbers that today's players are putting up, and I think it gives me a greater appreciation for Jeff's career. And you brought up something very important, Marty. He came to San Francisco at 29 years old and just hadn't accomplished much in his major league career to that point. These are my favorite types of stories. Jeff hit a completely different gear in his 30s. He was an all-star at 36 with Houston, an all-star at 37 with the Dodgers, was putting up an OPS above 850 at 38 and 39 years old. These are remarkable numbers. And to be able to do that in the second half of his career, it was a never give up attitude. And I think, the longer we go from the time that Jeff Kent played baseball, the more that he deserves to be appreciated, because it really is clear how much he separated himself, not just from second baseman of his generation, but second baseman of the generation that followed him on the field as well.
Yeah, Raph went in the archives. We have a little piece about Jeff Kent talking about the art of hitting. I did some interviews, in the early 2000s with some of the players about it. It's only a few minutes, but this gives you the essence of Jeff Kent. Go ahead, Raph. Marty, Lurie here on KMBR 680. And luckily today we have one of the top hitters. He will be a Hall of Famer. We've argued that already with John Miller. And that is Jeff Kent, second baseman for the Giants and many other good teams. Art of hitting, when I just say the phrase, what does it mean to you?
People overanalyze it. You got to keep it simple. Stupid was always my philosophy. Hitting is an acquired talent. It takes time, and that's why Major League Baseball has the minor leagues, so the guys can get at bats and to work their timing, work their rhythm, and work their mechanics out. But hitting is an acquired talent that takes so many repetitive swings to get good at.
Boy, interesting. Boy, you're hitting. Jeff Cano, very good, very good. Did you like to stand deep in the box? Did it help you, give you a little more time to make that adjustment?
I didn't, and hitting in a box is kind of like wearing a pair of shoes. Once you get your feet into a pair of shoes, it doesn't feel comfortable, but once you wear them for a little while, that's what you like. And for me, I kind of stood about in the middle of the batter's box, and because I wanted the back corner of the plate to be in the middle of my stance, because that was my assumed point of contact with the ball, and that was my scope, my sights in a scope, if you will, on a rifle. And so I used that as a tool of my point of contact. So I kind of stayed in that position just about all my career.
A lot of you watch Cal Ripken. A lot of players change their stance as they get older, and maybe you have to adjust just physically. But even during the season, people will, depending on who the pitcher is. Pete Rose used to get way up on the box for Randy Jones. Did you ever change your stance during your career, or even during a season?
All those are absolutes that are different for every hitter. Absolutely do batters move up or back in the box depending on the pitcher. For me, I stayed in the same spot. But I would come closer to the plate or back off the plate on some players. No doubt that, I played until I was 40 years old. I was making changes with my stance all the way up until I was 40. You make minor adjustments. You don't make big changes. Cal Ripken was probably the most obvious to make big changes. Of all the players that I've ever watched, he was the biggest guy that made the biggest changes in his stance. So everybody knew about it. But hitters are making changes. That's why we have batting cages. That's why we have hitting coaches. Is you need a second pair of eyes to say, hey, you're starting to create this bad habit, so you need to change that. And not necessarily would you change your habits just for a particular pitcher, but you'd change maybe the location in the box, or you'd change your guessing techniques on pitches. So that's what you do on different pitchers.
Boy, pleasure to see you, Jeff. Always nice. You're a baseball guy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
How'd you like that, Kerry? What'd you think?
I love it. I love the perspective, the insight, the comparisons that he draws, and talking about moving up or back in the box against certain pitchers. I think the art of hitting is so fun to hear the elite players talk about. And this is true from generation to generation, Marty. You could have a player who was outstanding in the 1950s, and you could have a player who's outstanding in the 2020s talk hitting together. And I'm just a junkie. I sit here and I love all of it. It's one of the reasons that I think baseball 162 days out of the season is always fun, even if your team's 16 games under 500. I think there's always something to learn, something to take away from baseball, and Jeff Kent puts that all into perspective there.
Boy, Glenn, just hearing Jeff Kent's voice and the way he analyzes things, I think it's what you said. He's a gamer.
Yeah, just right to the point, right? And that's what I always thought made him kind of a fun interview. He was going to be honest with you. He wasn't going to BS you. And you know what? Just listening to that, and that's a few years ago already. His explanations remind you of the way he played, right? Let's just keep this simple, stupid, okay? And that's so Jeff Kent. I just love that. It's great.
Yeah, that was special. I love having these things. And we've got some more that we'll play when Woe comes back, where he talks about the coaches and things like that. But let's wrap up these other two, Beltran and Andrew Jones. Kerry, your thoughts on Beltran and Andrew Jones?
Yeah, first off, Carlos Beltran, I remember the day that he got traded to the San Francisco Giants. It was so exciting.
You were happy, right?
For fans in the moment. Oh, of course. And you didn't know what was going to happen the rest of the 2011 season. I didn't know what kind of a prospect Zach Wheeler was. But, it was the type of classic Brian Sabian move. Go all in, give your team a shot. And I think taking the gambles is what made the Giants so fun back in their golden era. And I think, the fact that he was a Giant for a very brief period of time, it's a little anecdote on his Hall of Fame plaque. I think that was fun. And then Andrew Jones, just as rangy of a center fielder as his generation had. Was so fun to watch out there in Atlanta at Turner Field. I mean, you hit the ball anywhere in that park, and Jones was going to run it down. One of my favorite defenders that I grew up watching, Marty.
Glenn, you saw Beltran a lot. Of course, he was with Kansas City, with Houston. The thing about this for me, 312 stolen bases, only caught 49 times, 435 homers, 2,700 hits, a switch-hitting center fielder, and a tremendous, tremendous player. But things happened to him along the way.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit, right? I mean, unfortunately, he got involved in something that he probably wished he hadn't. But I remember, when he first came up with the Royals, he was this young star player, but their outfield was Jermaine Dye, Johnny Damon, and Carlos Beltran. How about that? Right? And it didn't necessarily get them a lot of wins, but I remember those three guys were awful fun to watch. But you talk about him and then Andrew Jones. I mean, maybe the ultimate center fielder, right? You think about being able to play defense like he did, hit home runs, kind of had a flair to the way he played. I mean, man, isn't that what you want in your center fielder? Which I always just loved watching him play. He'd play shallow in the outfield and take hits away in front of him. He'd go back on balls. So much fun to watch, and man, I always think about, like, that's the kind of center fielder you'd love to have, right? Kind of the ultimate guy. So three great players. It's pretty cool. And you know what? They all deserve it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm glad they're in, and Andrew Jones especially. When you look at that Brave team that won so many division titles in a row, Bobby Cox, Sherholtz, Freddie McGriff, Chipper Jones, Andrew Jones, Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz, they all got in, and they only won, one World Series. Giants won 3 World Series, and we'll see how many they get in. But it certainly shows how good that Brave team was to win that many division titles in a row. So good for them. We'll wrap it up with this one. Joe Buck gets a very prestigious award, the Ford Frick Award, which we hope that Dwayne and Mike get someday. But your thoughts about Joe Buck, Kerry?
Yeah, I've grown to appreciate Joe Buck as a broadcaster through the years. I think he's gotten so much better. I think, back in 2002 when it was Giants and Cardinals in the NLCS and then Giants and Angels in the World Series, I wasn't Joe Buck's biggest fan at that time, but I think he's really one of the gold standard broadcasters in not just baseball but football as well. But I actually have a deeper thought on this, Marty. I don't think that the Ford C. Frick Award should go to national broadcasters. I think it should go to the local broadcasters working 162 games a season or working as long of a schedule as possible. I really do think, and I think this is true of the beat writing award as well. It often goes to national reporters and not the local beat people. I'm so happy to see Paul Hoynes win and be honored by the Hall of Fame. But I think that this is a local broadcasters award. It should go to someone who puts in the time. John Sterling was on the ballot. I mean, he did, 5,000 consecutive games. It's not to take away from Joe Buck, who's a Hall of Fame broadcaster, but I think it's the local people who are there every day for the people in their communities, in the cities that they broadcast for. Those are the people who should be honored with this award, in my opinion.
Okay, I don't disagree with that. Glenn, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I have a rooting interest here, but I thought Kerry really was right on it, and I agree with him 100%. Joe Buck is a terrific announcer. I enjoy him in football. I enjoy him in baseball. But I'm with Kerry on this one. I do think the Ford C. Frick should each year go to a local broadcaster. They are the meat and potatoes of baseball, whether it be radio or TV. And it does go to these guys some, but a national broadcaster, doing 25, 30 games, and then the postseason, to me, that's not what baseball is about. Baseball is about being there every day, 162 or however many. That's why I think it should always go And yes, I do think Dwayne Kuiper should be in the Broadcasting Hall of Fame. So there, I just said it, guys. I just said it.
All right. Well, you did it. That your career was every day, so you did it. You know what it takes. And I agree with you. I feel better when someone like a John Sterling gets the award, or someone like that, or even Ken Korak should be considered for his body of work.
Absolutely.
But I still would like to see the recognition for the pregame radio hosts. One day that'll happen.
That wing will be there in Cooperstown.
I'll see you all in Cooperstown. All right. All right. Well, that's the show for today. It's a lot of fun. Ready for baseball. We'll see if the Giants can win 3 in a row. And Glenn, thanks so much. And we'll talk to you next week. And Kerry, it's all yours. So have a good day.
All right. Thanks to both of you, Glenn and Marty, for a great Sunday morning conversation. I always love this. It's so fun to talk baseball, and regardless of whether a team that we talk about is 17 over, 17 under, doesn't make a difference to me. To talk baseball and to talk about the history of the award, that's what makes this special. The history of the game, that's what makes this special. And so we've got the Giants and the Angels today. The Giants 16 under 500 at 44-60, going for a series sweep against the Angels 41-64. Jose Soriano, the big right-hander, having a great season for Los Angeles. He's opposed by the rookie Carson Whisenhunt, 2-0 with a 3.38 earned run average. More on this matchup on the other side. It's Giants warm-up with Kerry Crowley right here on The Sports Leader.
KNBR, The Sports Leader.
2-2. He drives this one out towards left center field. Deep and gone! Devers opposite field power. Another home run for Rafi. That was a full swing. It's 9-0 Giants.
We're getting you in the mood for a crazy crab sandwich, some garlic fries, a cha-cha bowl, and some orange and black baseball. KNBR's Giants warm-up keeps rolling on the sports leader.
Kerry Crowley back here with you on Giants Warm-Up. That Rafael Devers blast, one of several this week for the San Francisco Giants, is our Smokin' D's Barbecue Home Run of the Week. Smokin' D's BBQ, the flavor that's out of the park. Visit SmokinD'sBBQSF.com today for your next barbecue home run. We do a lot of ads, but that one's always one of my favorites. Smokin' D's BBQ SF. The home run of the week, that's a good deal. That's a good deal. And there's been some weeks this season where we've struggled to find it for the San Francisco Giants, but no shortage of choices for the great producer, Rafael Corral, who did such a great job setting us up there. So let's get you started for today's ball game. We've got the Angels and the Giants. The Giants going for the series sweep at home at Oracle Park. There are 16 games under 500, 8 days to go until the Major League Baseball trade deadline. Here is how Kurt Suzuki and the Angels will set things up. Zach Neto, the shortstop today for Los Angeles, 19 homers, 46 runs driven in, 13 stolen bases, a 236 average, and a 771 OPS. Mike Trout out in center field today, the future Hall of Famer on Hall of Fame Sunday in Cooperstown. 18 home runs for Trout, 40 runs driven in, 8 stolen bases, a 237 average, and still an 850 OPS at this juncture of Trout's career. An all-star this season, got the great ovation in Philadelphia just a couple of weeks ago, and a lot of fun to watch Mike Trout play baseball. Vaughn Grissom, the second baseman today for the Angels, 6 homers, 41 driven in. He had the big shot off of Jason Foley on Friday evening that tied the ball game in the 8th inning before the Giants won in walk-off fashion. Grissom with a 255 average and a 719 OPS. A familiar face, the cleanup man today for the Angels. It's Jorge Soler, who's got 11 homers this season, 45 driven in. The Angels DH hitting just 201 this year with a 654 OPS. My goodness, Soler with a ton of power in that right-handed bat, but so much swing and miss and just not making as consistent of contact at this juncture of his career. Nolan Schanuel, the first baseman for the Angels today. He'll bat 5th from the left side of the plate, lefty on lefty, with Carson Whisenhunt on the hill for the Giants. 6 homers, 36 driven in, a stolen base, a 282 average. He's a good contact hitter, and a 745 OPS. Joe Adell out in right field. He of the Superman catches that we saw earlier this season. He can play a solid right field for the Angels. 15 home runs this season, 57 driven in, 3 stolen bases, a 243 average, and a 689 OPS for the former top prospect, who's still managed to stick with the Angels organization amid the ups and downs, and mostly downs in recent seasons. The Angels have really struggled in the American League West. Denter Guzman, the third baseman today for the Angels, he's got 4 homers, 14 driven in, a stolen base, a 240 average, and a 654 OPS. Jose Siri out in left field today. He had a stint with the Giants way back when, I think it was either 2019 or 2020 that Siri had a stint in the Giants organization when Farhan Zaidi was the president of baseball operations. Ended up having a solid career with the Rays before moving on to the Angels now. 5 homers, 18 driven in for Siri, 2 stolen bases, a 281 average, and 830 OPS. Kind of surprising he's hitting so far down in this Angels order, considering how many OPSs they have that start with the number 6. Siri with an 830 OPS in the 8th slot in the order. And then Logan O'Hoppe does the catching for the Angels. He has 4 homers this season, 23 runs driven in, a 216 average, and a 582 OPS. Just really hard for a lot of major league teams to get production, offensive production that's meaningful out of the catcher position. Of course, the San Francisco Giants, one of those teams struggling to find that this season. Here's how first-year manager Tony Vitello sets things up for the Giants in their 105th game of the season. Luis Arraez, the second baseman for San Francisco, 4 homers, 38 driven in, a 326 average for Arraez, will threaten for the batting title this season. Otto Lopez still in the lead right now in the National League. Yordan Alvarez chasing closely in the American League. Yordan Alvarez he's a Triple Crown candidate with the Astros. He's been outstanding. An 812 OPS for Luis Arraez, who could be on the move this week ahead of Major League Baseball's trade deadline next Monday, August 3rd. Elliot Ramos out in left field for the Giants. 9 homers, 31 driven in for Ramos, a 262 average and a 737 OPS. And there have been some rumors that the 2017 first-round draft pick, he could be a trade chip for the San Francisco Giants, particularly with some young corner outfielders coming through the organization. Giants have a number of players at AAA, I think, who they'd like to get a look at before the end of the season. So it wouldn't be all that shocking, as Marty just mentioned during the Talkin' Baseball segment of today's extended pregame show, if Ramos was on the move. Bryce Eldridge in the 3 spot today for the San Francisco Giants. And I mentioned this yesterday, but I think it bears repeating. I like Eldridge in the number 2 slot in the order. I think you want to get him as many at-bats as possible. I know that the Giants are going left, right, left at the top of the order against Jose Soriano, but what difference does it make if you go left, left, right with Arias, then Eldridge, then Ramos? But again, Eldridge, 10 homers, 23 driven in, a stolen base, 263 average, and an 826 OPS. He drew another walk in yesterday's ballgame. An 0 for 3 performance for Eldridge, but again, he continues to find a way to get on base. His on-base percentage, really a quality part of his game. His plate discipline, we talked about it yesterday with Dave Fleming, the talkback segment of our Giants pregame show. Man, it was so fun to watch Eldridge come up to the major league level and immediately demonstrate his knowledge of the strike zone, and it continues to be a joy for a Giants team that just hasn't had many glimpses of excitement this season. Rafael Devers, the cleanup man for San Francisco, and he's amid a torrid stretch right now. Devers, the first baseman today, 22 homers, 60 driven in for the San Francisco Giants. Big slugger, a 249 average and an 808 OPS. That number's come up in recent days. Casey Schmidt hits 5th today for the Giants, and he's playing third base. Matt Chapman still on the IL. No real update on Chapman. I don't anticipate that he will be back before the end of the homestand, as he's not yet started a rehab assignment. And with the amount of time he's missed now with that injury, he could be out a little bit longer, especially if he does need to go down and start a rehab assignment at AAA Sacramento. So Schmidt, 21 homers, 55 driven in, 9 stolen bases, a 272 average, and a 789 OPS. Drew Gilbert out in center field today. Gilbert hits from the left side of the plate, 4 homers, 21 driven in for the former University of Tennessee Volunteer, who came to the Giants via trade involving Tyler Rogers at last year's deadline. A 235 average and a 677 OPS for Drew Gilbert. Willie Adames sitting below him in the lineup, and that's not what you really want to see if you're a Giants fan. Drew Gilbert, who's kind of a fringy 4th outfielder type, hitting in front of your $182 million shortstop, but kind of tells you about the season that Adames has had thus far. 18 homers, 45 driven in, 2 stolen bases, a 225 average, and a 705 OPS. Drew Kavanaugh, the catcher for the San Francisco Giants today, rookie out of Florida Southern, a 17th round draft pick a couple of years ago, but he hit his way through the minor leagues, and he's trying to hit enough to stay at the major league level. No homers this season for Kavanaugh in limited stints behind the plate. 2 runs driven in, a 225 average, and a 565 OPS. I do think there's a solid left-handed swing somewhere in there. We just haven't seen him get it going at the major league level. And the 9th place hitter today, with Jung-Hoo Lee sitting out, he's a little sore from yesterday's ball game. Grant McCray in there and hitting 9th out in right field. McCray does not have a batting average yet this season, but he does have a 250 OPS, which means he's walked a little bit so far, and he's gotten on base a couple of ways. He does have 3 stolen bases. He's been primarily used as a defensive replacement and as a pinch runner in limited stints with the Giants this season. But they will get a good look at him today, and he's got an opportunity against Jose Soriano with the right-on-left matchup. Soriano pitches from the right side. McCray hits from the left side. We'll see if McCray can use some of that pop that he brings up from AAA Sacramento to help out this Giants ball club. So today's pitching matchup, it's Soriano going for the Angels. He's been great this season. An 8-6 record, a 3.43 earned run average. He was outstanding in the month of April, one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. He's cooled off a bit, but still 122 strikeouts this year for Soriano. He's been fun to watch for the Angels when he gets it going, and he's opposed by Carson Whisenhunt, who really should be in this rotation to finish the season. Whisenhunt promoted from AAA Sacramento earlier this morning as the Giants optioned Tristan Beck back to the River Cats. Whisenhunt, 2-0 in 2 starts this season, a 3.38 earned run average and 6 strikeouts. And Dave Fleming mentioned this yesterday on our pregame show, but Whisenhunt has essentially graduated from AAA Sacramento. He's been there since about 2024. There's nothing left for him to prove in the PCL. The Giants haven't quite been comfortable with him in their rotation. They've given some other guys shots, but for the remainder of the season, this is going to be an opportunity for Carson Whisenhunt to prove that he belongs in the big league rotation, to prove that he can be a full-time major league starter. He'll have about 10, 11 starts to make before the end of this season. And look, if they don't go well, he'll probably enter spring training next year as a candidate to pitch out of the Giants bullpen. They still believe in this left-handed arm. He's got a four-seam fastball, and he's got a changeup that can devastate hitters, especially lefties, but he has just not been throwing a consistent third pitch. The Giants have seen Whisenhunt do okay in his couple of starts that he's made this season, but they want to see a lot more consistency. And the thing for Whisenhunt, I think, I'll be watching this closely today, can the fastball velocity be maintained through about 5 to 6 innings? And can he avoid throwing the fastball over the heart of the plate? Because when he's up 94, 95 from the left side, he gets good extension, good ride on that pitch. He is able to generate swings and misses. But if it's down more like 92, 93, and he leaves it over the heart of the plate, man, you see hitters just tee off on that. It's a lot of extra base hits, a lot of opposing slug that he allows. And so for me, the key for Whisenhunt is not necessarily about landing that third pitch for a strike, the breaking ball. It's mostly about what does the fastball look like and how does he set up his changeup off of the fastball. I think we've reached the point in Whisenhunt's development where he's probably never going to have a truly great third pitch, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he'll never be a solid major league starter. I think he can be a back end of the rotation guy over the next several seasons, but he's got to be able to maintain that velocity. He can't leave that fastball over the heart of the plate, and the changeup needs to continue to devastate against both lefties and righties. So that's what I'll be watching for today for Carson Whisenhunt as he faces this Angels lineup that's looking to take one from the Giants. The Giants going for a sweep today. Not many opportunities that the Giants have had this season to sweep teams, and they have not yet had a 4-game win streak. They're halfway there right now. We will see if they can get the job done today against the Angels, and then tomorrow when the Milwaukee Brewers come to town. I'm Kerry Crowley. The show is Giants Warm-Up. When we come back, we'll take a look at scores around Major League Baseball from the last 24 hours. Giants Warm-Up rolls on right here on KNBR 104.5, 680, the sports leader.
KNBR, the sports leader.
But standing up here with these guys sitting behind me, I've never felt more humbled and more grateful in my entire life. To Jane and the entire team at the Hall of Fame, thank you for the passion that you pour into preserving this game's stories. These stories have the opportunity to move people. They moved me, and they matter more now than ever. And to the ERA Committee, thank you. Thank you for the debate that you put in, for the time, and for recognizing that I try to represent this game with integrity.
It's almost time for hot dogs, peanuts, cold beers, and orange and black baseball. Our Giants warm-up rolls on the sports leader.
Wow, special stuff out in Cooperstown. Jeff Kent inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame today. Appreciate Rafael Corral for pulling the audio from Jeff Kent in the Hall of Fame ceremony. And Jeff Kent going in as a Giant, the first San Francisco Giants player to enter the Hall of Fame as a Giant since 1999. Orlando Cepeda, 27 years ago. Kent joins an illustrious list of San Francisco Giants. And today, he is our Provident Credit Union player to give credit to. We usually give it to one of the 26 men on the field for the San Francisco Giants, but who better on Sunday, Hall of Fame Sunday, to honor than Jeff Kent? Our player to give credit to is sponsored by Provident Credit Union. Provident Credit Union provides smart banking options like super reward checking. Visit providentcu.org. And I discussed this earlier in today's show with Marty Lurie and Glenn Kuiper. And I really think, for the 10 years that Jeff Kent was on the ballot, which were, I believe, 2013 through 2023, I was never entirely convinced that Jeff Kent was a Hall of Famer. And even today, I'm not entirely certain that I put him in the same realm as I do the all-time legends of the game. But I'm happy to see Kent go in, and I've changed my opinion ever so slightly on Kent. I think he goes from being one of the great second basemen of all time to being one of the elite second basemen of all time, in my opinion, because the generation that has followed Jeff Kent has kind of proven how rare his statistics were, how incredible Kent's numbers that he put up, particularly in his 30s and particularly for 6 seasons with the San Francisco Giants, how rare they were. And it's just great to see a player with 377 career home runs, a batting average of 290, 1,518 RBIs, a 500 slugging percentage, 4-time Silver Slugger Award winner, 5-time All-Star, an MVP. It's great to see Kent go in. And, you start to look at it like this. Does he fit in alongside the other second baseman in Cooperstown? And to me, the answer is absolutely. So the more distance we have from Jeff Kent's playing career, I think the more I've begun to appreciate just how rare of a player he was, and particularly someone who had his best seasons after 30 years old. He didn't make his first All-Star team until 1999, his age 31 season with the San Francisco Giants. He won an MVP award in, of course, the year 2000 with the Giants, of course, winning that with a ton of help in the lineup from Barry Bonds and the Giants. And Jeff Kent really wouldn't have been the player that he was. I think he acknowledges this without having Bonds in the same lineup with him. And, if you've listened to this show, if you've listened to me on KMBR for the past 10 years, you know how I feel. I think you put Bonds in, you put the people of their generation in, understanding that you're telling a story and you're not making a judgment on what they did on and off the field. But I do think that, as the Giants continue to become more ingrained in Cooperstown, and this will happen next year. John Shea, the San Francisco Standard, has covered this very closely. Buster Posey, in all likelihood, will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Bruce Bochy, Dusty Baker, eligible to go in as enshrinees from one of the committees next year. I think in all likelihood, you will see a big, big contingent heading to Cooperstown next year from the San Francisco Giants. So but as we continue to get you set for the Giants and the Angels today here on KMBR, Carson Wisenhunt and Jose Soriano, do want to bring you up to speed on scores around Major League Baseball. 8 days to go, I should say, until the Major League Baseball trade deadline. The Giants are going to be very active over the course of the next week. It's a busy week for Buster Posey and company, but it's a busy week for a lot of teams. We'll try to give you an update on where some of these teams stand. Middle of the fifth inning right now in Washington, D.C., where the Nationals trail the Arizona Diamondbacks 4-2. I think the Diamondbacks could be quiet buyers at this year's deadline, and the Nationals, they've indicated they might be sellers this year. Paul Taboni, San Francisco's own, their president of baseball operations, trading Curtis Mead away to the Boston Red Sox for Connolly Early, a young starting pitcher in the Red Sox organization. Mead will fit in right there in Boston, a big right-handed bat who's crushed lefties this year. So that was an interesting trade to see that went down on Saturday. Bottom of the fourth inning right now in Baltimore, Camden Yards, where the Orioles trail the Braves 2-0. Wouldn't shock me at all if the Braves made a move to acquire, say, a Robbie Ray in the Giants rotation. The Braves probably need one more pitcher. Wouldn't be a surprise if they went after Robbie Ray. Reynaldo Lopez on the hill right now in that ball game for the Atlanta Braves. Bottom of the fifth inning at PNC Park in Pittsburgh, where the Pirates hold a 7-4 advantage over the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs, another team that could absolutely be interested in Robbie Ray, who, again, continued to make his case to be one of the top pitchers available at this year's trade deadline with an outstanding start for the Giants on Saturday. 6 scoreless, and Tony Vitello pulling him right when he needed to. And if you listen closely to yesterday's pregame, I did say in our Stevens Creek Lincoln keys to the game, which were presented exclusively by Stevens Creek Lincoln, I said, get Robbie Ray out of that ball game before about 90, 95 pitches to preserve that arm and make sure that he's as attractive of a trade candidate as possible to acquiring teams. And that could be Ray's swan song in a Giants uniform. Bottom of the fifth inning in Boston right now with the Red Sox. We're going to be buyers. They lead Kevin Gossman and the Blue Jays, who are 9 games under 500 right now, 3-0. Gossman through 4 innings has given up 3 runs, 5 hits. He could be dealt at this year's trade deadline, expiring contract in year 5 of that deal with the Toronto Blue Jays that he signed. I think it was 5 years, 110 or 5 years, 115 million, but he has lived up to that deal, even if the Blue Jays are struggling this season. So the Blue Jays could be sellers a year after taking the Dodgers to the brink in the World Series. Bottom of the fourth, right where the Royals hold a 3-0 edge over the Detroit Tigers. Everyone watching closely to see if the Tigers will sell Tarek Skubal at this year's deadline. That could be the big blockbuster, and I do anticipate with Detroit 5 games under 500 that Scott Harris will make that move. Top of the fourth in Queens, where the Dodgers lead the Mets 3-1. Mets, big-time sellers, expect a lot of moves from New York. The Dodgers, big-time buyers. We will see how they add. Top of the fifth inning right now is the lowly Marlins. I think they've lost 10 in a row. They lead the Padres right now 3-0. Identical records between Miami and San Diego at 52 and 53 in the top of the fifth. Bottom of the second inning in Target Field in Minnesota, where the Twins lead the A's 4-0 right now. Both of those teams likely to sell at this year's deadline. End of the third inning, Milwaukee leading the Rockies right now 3-0. That's the Brewers over the Rockies at the moment. Milwaukee coming into town for a series this week. They will be buying at this year's deadline. End of the third inning, south side of Chicago, the White Sox up 3-2 over the Astros. Top of the third inning in St. Louis, where the Cardinals and the Reds are tied 1-1 right now. Wouldn't be surprised to see the Cardinals buy at this year's deadline. Top of the second inning, the Rangers lead the Mariners 1-0 in Arlington right now. The Rangers lead the American League West, and Jacob deGrom on the hill in that ballgame. Sunday Night Baseball tonight is the Phillies and the Yankees, 2 teams that will be adding this week. Christopher Sanchez against Will Warren, an excellent pitching matchup. And we do have one final for you today. The Rays defeated the Guardians 1-0. Drew Rasmussen gets the win. Parker Messick takes the loss, and Brian Baker saved number 28 for the man out of North Florida University. I am Kerry Crowley. This has been Giants Warm Up, your Giants pregame show. Coming up on the other side, followed by First Pitch, 1:05 p.m. Pacific time today. Carson Wisenhunt will throw it. Stay tuned right here on KNBR. We've got a heck of a lot more for you as we get you set for Giants baseball on the radio right here on The Sports Leader.